Guys, what's up, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my channel if you are new. So this is going to be my labor and delivery story. So my son is now 3 months old. This is super overdue, but you know, things are crazy when you add another child into your family. So we now have 4 kids. I had Kamdyn on June the 10th. He was born at 11:33 at night. We do have that, some of that footage posted on our channel. I'll link it in the iCard, like it'll be up in one of these corners for you guys if you want to click it and watch it. But I got on my phone and I made some notes of what I remember. These timestamps, some of them are exact because I've gone back to like references and jot them down, but some of them are estimates. I know what time he was born. I know what time certain things happened. So those times were right, but I kind of like guessed and inserted some of the times. So basically everything that happened is accurate, but the timestamps may be a little off. So also if you hear something, he's over here in his crib staring at the ceiling fan. So let's go ahead and get into this before I get interrupted. He was born on June 10th at 11:33. Everything with my labor started the evening before. So on Saturday, June the 9th, around 9:45, I was sitting in our rocking chair, just kind of going through videos and going through Facebook, and I started having contractions. So I was like, okay, because I had been having contractions and Braxton Hicks and stuff like that before, but they ended up stopping when I went to bed. So I stayed in the rocking chair as long as possible, just to see if they would keep happening. And they did. Even when I went to bed, they were still happening. So I went to bed around 11:30, I want to say. My mother-in-law was already here because we were anticipating that he was going to come early. So if you're not aware, we do like live in a town where we don't have any family. All of our family lives kind of far away. So we wanted someone here when I went into labor, because we do have 3 other kids. On Sunday, June the 10th, at around 1:15 in the morning, my contractions woke me up. They were pretty uncomfortable. I wasn't like in extreme, excruciating pain, but they were waking me up. And I was pregnant and I was sleeping hard, so you can only imagine. So I fell back asleep. I was waking up every hour after that. I woke up at 2:15, I woke up at 3:15, I woke up at 4:15, and then when I woke up at 5:15, I decided to just get up and take a shower to see if it would make them stop, to see, you know, I didn't want to go all the way to the hospital and then they stop and then send me home, because you got to pay for parking and you got to, you know, the whole 9 yards. So I laid back down after the shower and they were still happening. They did not stop. So I texted my brother because he was going to come to go to the hospital with us and kind of, you know, be there. I feel like I have a hair on me, and just be there for like, you know, the whole thing. If we needed anything, or if something happened with Joel's mom and she needed like someone to run an errand for her because she's not familiar with where we live, and you know, just if the kids needed anything, he was going to be there for anything we needed running around, so Joel didn't have to leave the hospital. He said he was on his way, and then I had also texted my mom right before she went to work, because she works like really early in the morning, and that was around 3:30. I told her what was going on, and she just said to keep her updated. So then at 9:45 we headed to the hospital. I had just like eaten some cereal before to you know, hold me over. I figured I was going to stay, but I didn't think that I was going to labor that long, so I figured I could just eat some cereal and I was going to be good. Wrong. That was at 9:45, and like I said, I had him at 11:33 at night, so that was the last time I had eaten. So when I got there, I went up to the labor and delivery ER, and the doctor checked me and said I was 4.5 centimeters. 2 days before, I was 2 centimeters, so I was pretty sure I was going to stay. While the ER doctor called my doctor, they started an IV. which was a fail. Left a huge bruise. If you guys watch my vlogs, you saw the bruise I had right here. It was there for, I want to say like 5 weeks. It took 4 to 5 weeks it took for it to go away. They tried to start it there and missed the vein, so they had to stick me somewhere else. And then they said I would be moved to a room, but they weren't going to give me any medicine. They were going to see if I would progress on my own. So the whole thing was they would put me in a room, just keep me on the IV, and they were going to check me 2 hours later to see if I had progressed. If I didn't progress, they were going to send me home. But, you know, if I had made some progress, if I was dilating on my own, then they were going to go ahead and admit me, and we were going to go ahead and get the show on the road. This was around 11:45. I didn't get any pain meds. They asked if I needed some, but I didn't need any. I didn't want to get anything because, you know, I still didn't know if I was going to stay. I didn't want to get pain meds and then be sent home and all that. So I didn't get anything. I just was on IV fluids. So they said they were going to come back in 2 hours to see how much I had progressed. Like I said, if nothing, then I would be sent home. So at 1 o'clock, around 1 o'clock, I called the nurse in because I felt like I was leaking fluid. And she checked me with the little strips that they have that turn blue if it's amniotic fluid, and it didn't show up. They said it was very, very light, so they weren't going to count that as being amniotic fluid. During that time, she went ahead and checked me to see if I was dilating, and I was 5.5 centimeters. So I had dilated 1 centimeter since about an hour and 15 minutes. So she said she would still be back at 2 o'clock anyways, because my doctor wanted, you know, a final check at that time and give him an update to decide if they were going to keep me. So then she came back at 1:30. I was still 5.5 centimeters, and I had progressed since I got there. So they went ahead and admitted me since I was, you know, dilating with no medicine, and I was 5.5 centimeters, so they weren't going to send me home. They asked me again if I needed pain medicine, and the contractions were uncomfortable, but nothing that I needed pain meds for just yet. I didn't want to get my epidural until I was closer to 10 centimeters because I didn't want it to wear off. That's coming up. Pretty much had some pain, but we'll get into the details of that in a minute. Yeah, I didn't want it to wear off while I was pushing. So I asked for pain meds, like local pain medicine, not my epidural, around 3:45 because they were getting pretty uncomfortable. They put it through my IV and said they might make me feel dizzy. So my IV was in my hand. This nurse pushed the IV medicine or the pain medicine so fast that my hand was like on fire. I was hurting so bad. So she pushed it through and I felt it start to burn, and I was like, okay, this is gonna wear off. It's not gonna get worse. It was getting worse and worse. And I was like, oh my gosh, this burns so bad. So she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why she rushed the medicine in so much. Before, when I had gotten pain medicine, they put it through like a little at a time. Even my brother, he's a paramedic, the one that was there with us, he was like, I don't know why she did that. You should never push pain medicine that fast because, one, it burns like fire. So she pushed regular fluids through to kind of, you know, cool it off, but also it made me feel terrible, like crap. I was feeling so bad because she pushed it so fast, and it was like such a rush. She said it was going to make me feel dizzy, but it also made me feel like when I was falling asleep, like it took the pain away, yeah, but when I was trying to rest and fall asleep, it felt like I was like not breathing when I would fall asleep. Like it felt like I had to be awake to keep myself breathing. I don't know if that makes sense, if this has ever happened to you, but I wasn't telling myself to breathe while I was awake, but like I felt like I was aware of what was going on. But then when I would start to fall asleep, I would feel like I would wake up and be like taking a deep breath, like I didn't have enough air in my lungs. And it also made me feel nauseous because I don't know if it was because she pushed it so fast or because I was getting medicine and I hadn't eaten. So there was that, and then I also felt like I had a lot of pressure in my head at that time. So I tried to get some rest, but it was hard to fall asleep, feeling like I wasn't able to breathe when I would fall asleep. So then I asked for some nausea medicine because, you know, I just felt like it was right here, like it was about to come up. So my brother had gotten up and got me one of those little bags, those like long cylinder bags to hold, just in case. And then they also gave me some medicine for nausea. There was 2 options. They said one of them was a shot in my leg, and at this time I did not have the epidural, so I was like, heck no, not giving me a shot in my leg. So they gave me some other medicine, and it helped a little bit. Just, it took the edge off. So this whole time that I was, you know, at the hospital, I was sitting upright. I was texting one of my friends, and she is like I can't remember what exactly it is, but it's like a nurse that like a doula. I don't know if that's exactly what it is. I can't remember what she said exactly, but she was like giving me tips. She said if I would sit up with my legs spread, that, you know, keep him moving down, keep me progressing. So that's what I was doing, and it kept the contractions going, and I was still dilating. So then around 5:30, I got my husband to sneak me some granola bar because I was starving and I felt really nauseous, and I was pretty sure it was from the medicines I was getting and then, you know, not having anything in my stomach. But he snuck me like a little piece of granola bar because I was only getting ice chips. They were only giving me ice chips at this point. They didn't want me to have any food. So they came back to check my progress around 6:30, and I was 7 centimeters. Still didn't have any pain medicine, just that little pain medicine that they gave me. And they said they were going to break my water and get things going. So I told them that I wanted to get my epidural first because I didn't want them to break my water and then not have the epidural in time. And they were like, oh, you know, he's right down the hall, it'll be real quick. And never listen to them when they say that, because, you know, of course they could be right down the hall, but I would always suggest to get it first because you never know how fast things are going to happen after they break your water. With my case, I knew it wasn't going to be much because when I was going to my appointments, he was measuring ahead and he had low fluid. It wasn't like dangerous, but it was like on the edge of being the limit that they want you to be at. So I was like, let me get the epidural first before you break my water because I don't want anything to happen because I was already in pain. I don't want anything to happen and me not have the epidural. So they went to tell the anesthesiologist, and I'm glad I waited because it took him 45 minutes to get to me, which is fine. You know, I know people are waiting, but I just, you know, I wanted to have that first, and they said he was going to be right in, but it was 45 minutes, no telling what would have happened in 45 minutes if I hadn't had that epidural. And if you get so far, they don't give it to you. After you get to a certain point, they don't give you the epidural. So it's like, I'm getting that epidural. So at 7:15, around 7:15, he came into the room and gave me the epidural, which did not hurt. I mean, the only thing that really hurt was the shot that they give you before the epidural that numbs you so you don't feel the real deal. And then he laid me on my back and I was good to go. At this time, they made my brother and my husband go in the waiting room. They wouldn't let them be in the room while I got the epidural. And then my doctor came in and broke my water. When he broke my water, only a little bit of fluid came out, which wasn't a surprise because, like I said, my fluid is already low at my doctor's appointments. And I was pretty sure that when I was leaking, it was amniotic fluid, but since there wasn't that much, it didn't read on the strip and they didn't really count that as amniotic fluid. So then at 8 o'clock, they asked if the epidural was working, and for the most part it was, but the bottom part of my stomach and my back was still hurting really, really, really bad. So, excuse me, they laid me flat on my back and put some pillows under my feet to see if they could move the medicine up a little bit, and if it didn't work, they would call him back to tell him to give me more medicine, and if that didn't work, then they were gonna adjust my epidural a little bit, like pull it up a little bit to have the medicine, you know, move into a different spot. So then around 8:15 it wasn't working, so they called him back in the room. He came in 30 minutes later around 8:45 and asked what was going on, told him everything I was feeling, and he gave me more medicine through my epidural, and that worked. So then my doctor comes in around 8:50 at night, asked if I felt like I needed a push, and I said no. You scared me so much. What's up? Do you need something? They came in at 8:50, asked if I felt like I needed a push, and I said no. So I laid back down to rest, and my right side wasn't fully numb. So they tilted me with a pillow, like they leaned me on my side and propped a pillow underneath me so it would keep me on my side, and some medicine would move to that side. So then at this time is when everything started going wrong. Not going wrong, but the pain came on. So I woke up at 9:15, and since I had been leaning to one side, I thought Joel was opening the door, but baby was farting. Okay, so I woke up at 9:15, and since I had been leaning to one side, the other side, I was feeling the pain. And at this point, I was like 8.5 centimeters, which was not good. And I can tolerate pain really good. I made it to 7.5 centimeters with no medicine, like no epidural. So what had happened was when they gave me the epidural, I also had the little button you could push to boost it. They never told me about that. I seen it sitting there, but I was like, am I not allowed to use it? Which is silly because, okay, so I had it before, but I don't know, I just didn't think to use it, plus a lot was going on. So they never gave me the button to push it, so the medicine was barely going, and it was not enough. I bet if I would have pushed that button, I wouldn't have had to lean to one side. I could have had enough for both sides without having to lean or tilt or be propped up. So the pain started getting worse and worse. I was feeling my contractions on my left side. Okay, we have a visitor, or not a visitor, he was here. Can you say hi? So let's finish this up. So we called the nurse in. She said she could give me some pain medicines. The one that was a shot in my leg, and I had had the epidural at that point, so I was like, okay, give it to me now. So she gave me the shot in my leg, but it didn't fully work. She came back 5 minutes later to check on me, and I was full-blown hysterically crying. You guys, I was in so much pain, so much pain. I have never cried like that in my life. Joel's freaking out. My brother was freaking out. He was like calling my mom. He was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Mom was like, there's nothing you can do. She asked what was wrong. I was like, woman, I'm in pain. The contractions were terrible, and it felt like they were not letting up. Like even in between contractions, I was still in so much pain. I was crying non-stop. So another nurse came in to help her and see how much pain I was in, and she was very angry. That other nurse, like, you know, they were not, it was not busy. It was a Sunday night, so nothing was scheduled. They were just not coming in the room and staying on top of things and making sure. Like, this nurse came in so many times and saw the button sitting on the top of the little epidural box, the box that the epidural's in, on your IV pole. I don't know. I mean, I'm not judging anyone, but if that was my job, I did it every day for 12 hours at a time, sometimes 24 hours at a time, I'm pretty sure I would be like, hey, this woman has never had the epidural boost in her hand. Maybe I should check and see. I don't know. So anyways, the other nurse that wasn't my nurse came in and found out what was going on, and she was pissed. So around 10 o'clock, they decided to do practice pushes, but I couldn't do anything because I was in so much pain. I tried pushing, but I could not. I pushed like That's great. Passing on the floor. But I couldn't push because I was in so much pain. They also checked me, said I was 10 centimeters at this time, but Kamdyn was facing sideways. So they wanted to do 30 minutes on my left side and then 30 minutes on my right side with the peanut to get him to go ahead and rotate. So they put me on my left side first, since that was the side I was feeling the pain on, so maybe the epidural medicine would go on to that side. And I was still crying at this time. I was crying for this whole time. I never stopped. So my brother went to get the nurse to see if they could do anything else, and she said that they would see if they could boost my epidural a few times, but my doctor didn't want to because he didn't want me to have a hard time pushing, since I was already, what did I say, 8.5 centimeters? Let me see, I think I said 8.5 centimeters. No, it was 10 centimeters. Since I was already 10 centimeters and they were just trying to get him to turn, but it was time to push, they didn't want to give me any more medicine because they didn't want me to have a hard time pushing, which was total BS, because with my son, I was pushing the epidural button up until right before I pushed. Like, they let me push the button one more time before I started pushing. 5 minutes later, I asked again if I could use the epidural button, and he said we could do one boost every 10 minutes since I was still hysterically crying, to help, because I couldn't even push with the practice pushes. It was no good, and I was starting to freak out because I was like, I'm not going to be able to push, and they're going to make me have a C-section, and I've never had a C-section, and I really didn't want to do that. I just remember crying, and I was always asking Joel, like, every 30 seconds if it had been 10 minutes. I was like, has it been 10 minutes? Has it been 10 minutes? Has it been 10 minutes? Because I wanted to push the button so bad, or have them push the button so bad. So that nurse that was mad came in and ended up pushing it after just 3 minutes. And then she pushed it again 3 minutes later, because they just came in, and every time they came in, I was in the same state, like out of my mind. So then they switched me to my right side. I kept getting ice chips because my breathing, like, oh. Are you good? I was breathing so fast and like through my mouth, like I was trying to breathe and think through it, do all these things that they tell you to do, so my mouth was getting dry. I wasn't breathing right because of my crying and the pain, so my blood pressure was dropping and Kamdyn's heart rate was dropping with the contractions because of all of the stress that I was having. They decided to ditch the peanut, and it was time to start pushing. They were like, I don't care if he's sideways, we're going to get him out. So at 11 p.m., we started practice pushing again. Poor Joel. During this whole time, while I was pushing, he was like kind of a little bit relieved because he knew we're on our way to being done with this. While I was pushing, he was coaching me. And also the whole time I was crying, he was like, focus, you've got to stop crying, trying to calm me down. But then when it was time to push, he was like, all right, here we go, let's do this, trying to get me to push as hard as I could. So they also asked me, they also asked me if I wanted the mirror. So what they can do is put a mirror down so you can see everything that's going on down there. And I had opted out of this with all my other kids, and I regretted it. So I was like, yes, please, give me this mirror. You know, I felt like if you can see what's going on down there, I'm like, if you can see, you can see what's going on down there. If you can see what's going on down there, you can, like, that itself is motivation to, like, push. Because I know when you're pushing, the people around you are like, oh my gosh, there's the head, keep pushing, keep pushing. And they're like, you know, motivated for you. So I felt like if I could see that myself, you know, toward the end of your 10 count in your pushes, you start to get tired and you start to not push as hard. But I feel like if you can see what's going on down there and you're at the end of your 10 count, you can see that the baby is coming out, you're just going to keep pushing. So like I said, while I was pushing, he was all in there. He was coaching me in between pushes. Okay, so he's laying down on the bed next to me now. But I keep having to cut because it's making me emotional. Joel would drop his head like this. I can't imagine watching someone go through that pain. And I just heard my daughter get up. Good morning! In between pushes, he would drop his head, but then, you know, when I had to push again, he'd pick his head up. Alright, so when I was pushing, the pain would go away. And I never knew that because I've always had the epidural. Everything's always been numb. So I didn't know that even if you have like no medicine, a little bit of medicine, if you're feeling any pain, when you push, it takes the pain away. It's so weird. So it like counteracts when you push, it counteracts with the contractions. So he finally came out at 11:33. Yeah. Screaming and a head full of hair. So that is my labor and delivery story. Finally got it out. It was rough because all the memories and the emotions came back. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're a new mommy, I hope I didn't scare you. But I wanted to share my story. I wanted to have it for memory purposes. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're about to give birth to a baby, you got this. This is not the case for every labor. Like I said, I had 3 kids before and nothing. It was a breeze. This was just, it was how it was meant to be. So I'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys like this, give it a thumbs up. We would love if you subscribe. We post daily vlogs. I post recipes. I post hauls, decorating videos, challenges, all that good stuff. So we would love if you subscribed if you are new. And we will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.